Can you hear that? That awful creature. Can you feature that ugly creature? Creature features and feature pictures about creatures. Creature pictures.
Wait a minute. I gotta play that. I gotta play that one more time, y'all.
Can you feature that awful creature? Can you feature that ugly creature? Creature features and feature pictures about creatures. Creature pictures.
Man, baby, how many of you remember that? That is Creature Features, y'all. That was the theme song to Creature Features. Creature Features, of course, was a show that ran on Channel 3, Sacramento, starting way back in the day. We're going to talk to the host of Creature Features for, I think, at least 8 or 9 seasons, Mr. John Stanley, and we're going to talk to a gentleman who has created a movie that you are going to get to see this Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Well, hang on a second. 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock? We're going to get that straight. But actually, you know, we're running a 48-hour film festival this weekend. So for all you 48-hour filmmakers, you're going to have to get delayed gratification on this one. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce a couple of gentlemen here. And I want to start out with Tom Wyrsch. Tom Wyrsch made this movie, and I think it's Tom. You probably know what time we're going to play this damn movie. Tom, the name of the movie is Watch Horror Movies, Keep America Strong, and you're the producer of it. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm here, Marty. But can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. How you doing?
I can't hear you, unfortunately, but I can read your lips.
You can't hear me at all? Oh my gosh! All right, well, we'll see what we can do to make that happen. It's probably on your end, so I'm going to bring John Stanley in here and add him to the stream. You fix your earbuds. That's you on your end, okay? All right. Hey, John, what's going on? From another mother, it's John Stanley. Buddy, how you doing, brother?
Hey, great. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh man, it's just absolutely wonderful to have you, my brother. And you know, I get really excited, as you can well imagine, when I'm talking to a guy like you, because you hosted a show called Creature Features. Now, give me, is that right? It was 9 seasons that you hosted it?
No, Bob did it for the first 8 years, and then I did it for 6. So the show ran for a total of 14 seasons. Yeah,
14 seasons, but you did it for 6. I just spotted you 3 seasons there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, right. It was a long time.
It was, but you know what? It was a great time in my life. I mean, I got to tell you, man, it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, there were families that just absolutely loved the show, and you had to be home to see it. You didn't have a recording machine back in those days. You had to stay home with your mom and dad or brother and sister.
So, do you remember what year? I mean, and this was before your time because it started with Bob Wilkins on Channel 3 in Sacramento. Is that right? Do you remember what year it started?
Yes, I can tell you exactly. It started in 1966, and we moved here to Pacifica, and the only way to get a television back in the Lindemar Valley was through cable, and for some reason, one of the few stations we got in those days was KCRA, Channel 3 from Sacramento, and there was Bob Wilkins on a Saturday night, and that's where I became familiar with him. If it hadn't been for that, I probably would have never seen any of his early shows.
Yeah, man. Well, I got to be honest with you. The Channel 3 era was before my time. I think I came of age as it related in about 1976. And by that time, Bob had moved over to Channel 40, at least in the Sacramento viewing area.
Well, yeah, that was added to his agenda at some point along the way. Yeah, he was doing shows on Saturday night, and then he was doing the show on Channel 40 in Sacramento. And then he began to do Captain Cosmic in the afternoons. He would play old movie serials or Japanese movies. And so Bob was one of the busiest guys at that time, with 3 or 4 shows going almost all the time. Utterly amazing.
Well, that is amazing. Now, he started out, now again, for those of you who don't know this history, let me back up a little bit. John Stanley was the host of Creature Features. We got it right for 6 seasons. And then prior to that, it was a show that was hosted by Bob Wilkins, starting out on Channel 3 KCRA. He later moved to Channel 2 in Oakland, right?
And he moved to prime time, not late evening.
Prime time.
To do incredible ratings on at 9 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes he was beating out NBC Saturday night at the movies.
That's right. That's right. And he did a show on Channel 2 and a show on Channel 40 simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, don't try that at home, folks. But I mean,
well, even after Bob left Channel or gave up the Creature Feature show, I took over. He still did Captain Cosmic for 1 more year, and he still did Channel 40 through 1980-81.
Yeah, yeah. That's just amazing to me. And now he started out as an ad guy, did he?
Yes, he was an ad man at KCRA, and he used to host various parties that the station would hold if someone was going to retire or have a birthday or something. And they found that Bob was very witty at handling that. So someone came up with the idea of him showing a horror movie on Saturday night.
Right.
And what Bob did, he had a copy of a TV Guide, and he read to the viewers what was on the other channels so they could see something better than he was going to show.
Yeah, right. I remember that. I remember that was a regular shtick that he did. He would just read through the TV Guide and go, well, you could be watching this or this or this. I remember on Channel 40 when he did it, I remember they had that guy, what was it? He had some funny advertisers too. They had that kid, Tell Him Billy Sent You, was one of them, for a furniture place. And then there was Tom Labreeze. Night Club. It was like, remember Tom Labrie?
Yeah, Tom Labreeze was a fan on my show.
Was he?
We portrayed him as the mysterious, weird guest. And we played that around for a couple of weeks, and then we introduced him one night.
So let's see. So Bob had the show for several years, and then he gave up the ghost. He decided to retire, or what? How did you come into the picture?
Well, he had his own advertising agency, and his main sponsor was Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Parlors.
Okay.
And he just spent some years just dealing with that. It was making him a great deal of money. Eventually, he gave that up and moved to Reno, where he became an executive at the Nugget Casino. And he worked there for several years.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Now when he decided to cash it, now you were a writer at San Francisco Chronicle, and what was your beat? Were you the entertainment guy?
I was a writer for the Sunday Date Book, and I interviewed people in the motion picture and television business. I also wrote book reviews and did film reviews for the Daily. Yes.
Fascinating.
Well, I got to know Bob very well after we came to Channel 2. I did a lot of stories that were related to Channel 2. Judith Morgan Jennings was the publicist, and she became a very close friend. And I've always felt that might have been one of the reasons they ultimately would pick me. They knew what I had done through the Chronicle, and they felt that what I knew about horror films and so on would work out as a replacement.
Well, and for sure, you had a lot of contacts in your Rolodex, I would imagine. Yeah.
Walt Disney on Friday morning would fly in the star of their new movie opening next week because they knew I taped my shows on Friday, and they would get I would get the star out in front of the camera, and we'd have a wonderful interview. We'd play clips from the movies, and everything just really worked out very well. Yes, the contacts in Hollywood with Star Trek, I was able to get some of the Star Trek characters on the show,
Oh
and
yeah, I know. Leonard Nimoy was probably the most famous. I mean, but who else did you get?
oh yeah, well, I went down to LA for the Wrath of Khan and did interviews with almost all of the players, including Ricardo Montalban, and then put those shows to get interviews together into a single show.
Uh-huh.
So that was another way of getting some wonderful material, as with Arnold Schwarzenegger and so many other important actors during those years.
Yeah, well, I know you had a lot of really, really wonderful, and I got to be honest with you, from even when I was a kid, watching Creature Features, for me, it was just so amazing to the kind of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Get to see guys like the old Hammer Films guys, and
Christopher Lee.
yeah. Tell me about what was that like interviewing Christopher Lee, man?
Well, it was almost disastrous because I had brought in a Star Wars gang in costume, and they were pretending to build a new set for me. I had announced that a new set would be coming up in a couple of weeks. So they were walking all over the studio carrying lumber and hammers and nailing things, and we had sound effects of nails and hammers. And right at that point, Christopher Lee, who arrived late, he should have been there a half hour earlier, walks in. He doesn't like what he sees. He thinks it's silly. And he turns around to walk out. And suddenly, over the door he starts to walk through is a TV set where he sees the beginning of my interview with Ray Bradbury. And he pauses to watch the interview. And then when it's over, he turns to my wife and says, well, if it's good enough for Ray Bradbury, it's good enough for me. And he stayed, and we did a wonderful interview. We did 4 segments. We did a complete show, actually. So that's how close it came to being a disaster.
Word on the street was that he was quite the gentleman. I mean, the classic British gentleman, a real sweetheart. Was that your experience?
You mean with Christopher Lee?
Christopher, yeah.
Yeah. I would. I met him again years later when he was at a special show in San Jose, and Gene Roddenberry was also there. And anyway, everybody left except Christopher, who turned to me and says, "Hey, I don't have to go anywhere. I'd love to take you and your wife to dinner." And we went out and had a most wonderful dinner that night.
That's just amazing. I know you've interviewed so many people over the course of your career, both with Creature Features and, of course, with the newspaper.
Yeah, I put together a list of over 800 names.
You know what? You've got a couple of books here that I've got up on my bookshelf that has quite the compendium of all of these experiences. But if there was like maybe a favorite person that you interviewed that was just one of your, maybe not the favorite, but I mean, I'm sure there's a short list. What were some of the real delights that you remember interviewing?
One of the best was Robert Bloch, the author of Psycho.
Oh, really?
In fact, I years later published a book of short stories by Robert Bloch, Lost in Time and Space with Lefty Feep, and we became very good friends. I was at his house several times, and I'll never forget when he was a guest on Creature Features. My wife had gone out and bought some animal parts because there was an old joke that he used to say, "I have the heart of a small child, and it's in a bottle on top of my desk." So we had these body parts floating in a big bottle, and we did a joke where he exposed that and said, "Well, I have the heart of a small child. Here it is."
Hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm going to see if I can bring Tom back in here because, again, some of these experiences of creature features, and for those of you old timers like myself that remember growing up with creature features, not for nothing, and I was just telling my interns about this the other day, but not for nothing, but creature features, I mean, a lot of people watch creature features. I would like to hear the story if you know it, and I think you do, but about a kid watching maybe back in the day off of Channel 3 in Modesto that grew up to be some kind of a big wig in the entertainment industry. Anything you know about that?
Yes, yes, I do know a few who were fans of the show. They would watch the show a great deal. One of them, Robert Napton, went on to LA, where he has become a comic book writer and editor, and has had a wonderful, wonderful career. And I think there were some others too who were inspired to pursue that
A very,
career.
very famous one here. I'm thinking of a young George Lucas that used to watch
Yes.
Modesto from his house in Modesto, California. And he'd watch.
Yes, he came to Bob Wilkins. He met him one time and said, "I want to thank you. You're partly responsible for the making of Star Wars."
I can totally imagine that conversation having happened because I know that that's where Lucas saw the old Flash Gordon serials and so many things that went on. I mean, think about it, just the Hammer movies with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and then both Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee end up in Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
Talking to Tom Wyrsch.
He obviously was a fan of the old Hammer films and wanted those wonderful actors to be participating in his series.
Can you imagine? I'm going to bring Tom back in here. Tom, can you hear me?
Hi, Tom.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Hey, there we go. That's what we want. Tom,
Right.
Tom Wyrsch is a producer who's done a lot of wonderful movies. But the one that we're going to be playing, I think it's this Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Did I get that right, everybody? I think I got that right. It's called Watch Horror Films Keep America Strong. Did I get that
That's
right?
correct. So
Okay.
It's a nice long title. Yes, you're right.
Well, and I love the title. It's a fantastic title.
That was the motto that was on Bob's wall behind him.
I believe it. And
here's every week.
Here's my question to you, though, Tom, and that is, what gave you the inspiration to make this movie? And first of all, tell me what the movie's about. I think people are going to get an idea already, but what's it about? And then what was the inspiration for making it?
Yeah, I mean, the movie is basically the story of Creature Features, how it came together, and it really came together because John and Bob and I were doing a lot of conventions together, like WonderCon, which is belongs to Comic Con, and it was up here in the Bay Area. And I noticed that as people came to our tables, they were asking a lot of questions about Creature Features and how things came together, why Bob had the cigar and the yellow rocking chair and John's set and everything. And I said to Bob one day that someone should make a documentary about the show to answer all those questions because so many people had questions. And that's
Bob
really what.
And Bob told you you're the one who should make it, Tom.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he did. And fortunately, Bob had some clips left, and John, from the show that they had saved because back in those days the stations would erase all the shows and not keep them because they were on expensive tape in those days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a travesty. So how do you get that source footage? You just get it from people who are recording it on their home VCRs? Because again, as John pointed out, those home VCRs only go back so many years, right?
Well, yeah, believe it or not, the stuff that came from Bob was on 2-inch tape. And Bob Shaw, who worked with Bob Wilkins and in Watch Horror Films, he saved a lot of the footage that was on 2-inch down to U-matic, which is kind of like a big VCR cassette.
Yeah,
And
it's a 3/4 inch. That's how big it is.
that's right.
About,
And
like, about the size of a hoagie.
And he transferred some of it to U-matic. I mean, you know, Bob did 9 years worth of shows. I think he did, 856 episodes, and only a few segments of his shows actually survived. John's a lot more, because John was able to do it at a time when VCRs were around and home video, so he was able to tape more. So, but for Bob, it was really what came from 2-inch tape.
Wow.
Yeah, what you had to do, Tom, you had to go to the film department and tell them to save scenes from the show you had just made. And then they would make copies, because the master tapes would be erased. So they would put them on smaller tape, and then they would give them to me. And then I was able to build a file over the years.
Gee whiz. You know, I got to tell you guys, there's a lot of history there, and so many interviews. I mean, Tom, how many hours of footage are we talking about? I mean, ballpark. I mean, I know you probably don't know exactly, but how many
You
hours?
mean that survived?
Well, for you to be able to make the documentary, the watch horror films, how many hours did you have to pour through?
You know, not a lot of the show, because a lot of the show did exist, but the interviews we did, of course, we took longer interviews and cut them down to fit the story. You know, it fits into that 63 minutes, I believe it is,
Sure.
of story, and and it is really the whole story of Bob starting in Sacramento through John's last show in 1984. So it covers basically from 1966 all the way through to when Bob was at KCRA, and then finishes up with John's last show on KTVU. So
Tom, I don't know if you can see this picture that I got on the screen here, but that's the title of your movie, right?
Right.
Where did this come from? I mean, do you know what the genesis of this sign was? This looks like a very young Bob here posing with this must have been
that's definitely KCRA, probably 66 or 67.
Right.
And Bob was a collector of political pins. And you would have something like vote for Ike and make America better, or make America strong, or something like that. And he picked up the slogan from political pins.
Oh, wow.
And said, he went into the studio and asked the art department, can you, put together a slogan for me so I could have it behind me on the set. And he had it on always at channel 3. Sometimes they would fill in the frame with other pictures,
right.
just to have fun. And then, of course, he carried that over in 1971 when he went to channel 2. It was a different sign. It was in a frame, and it was green. And it's the same one that we have on the Creature Feature set now on the current show.
Wow. All right. Now I'm pulling up another one here that I'm hoping to get on here. I'm actually literally trying to pull these up in real time. Now, who are these two guys sitting on?
Yeah, there you go. John can explain that one, but Bob had John on the show when he worked for the Chronicle, and so that's basically John, I believe, when you were with the Chronicle, right?
Yeah, I had made a short 16 millimeter film called Homecoming: A Fable, a short horror film. Okay. And Bob liked it well enough that he played it one night, and that's when I was his guest for the first time.
And is that the first time you guys met?
Oh, no. I interviewed Bob before his first show at Channel 2. There was a major story interview with him in the San Francisco Chronicle Sunday date book, the Sunday before the Saturday of the first show, the very first show.
Wow. All right. Now I got another one here that I just uploaded. Check that out. What's that one all about?
That's a great chair, John.
For it. Marty, you asked for it.
Is there a story behind that axe, or was that just a that prop?
It was just a prop that somebody came and took a lot of pictures of me holding.
Well, guys, listen. We only got about 2 minutes left, and I could spend all day talking to you guys. But it's this Saturday night for folks watching on PCT. That's channel 26 here in Pacifica, channel 27 Coastside, or if you like worldwide at PacificCoast.tv. It's called Watch Horror Films, Keep America Strong. And I'm going to ask you, Tom, the same question that I asked John earlier, and that is, is there a favorite moment that maybe a favorite interview or a favorite segment, and did it make it into the movie?
Yeah, I think that the best part is in the movie is where he talks to the different guests that have come on that did kind of strange things, like built robots on their own, or did different things that were funny. And there's a lot of that in the show.
And by the way, there is a modern show called Creature Features that involves these three interesting folks. And if you like horror movies and you like horror hosts, that is a show that Tom produces and can be seen on PCT normally in that Saturday night 10 o'clock Tom slot that we're going to be filling with your documentary Watch Horror Films. But if you want to see the modern version of Creature Features, there it is, and it can be seen on PCT every Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Guys, I can't really say thank you enough to you two. For being here, being with us today. I mean, this has been, for me, it's been just just a whole bunch of fun. But I gotta go out. I gotta go out with the way we came in, and I don't know if I can cue this up one more time. But would you guys mind if I just play that old school Creature Features?
Oh no, go absolutely go for it.
You okay with that? All right, let me see if I can load this up here. This is too much fun, folks. You got to check this out. And again, remember, this Saturday night, 10 o'clock, Watch Horror Films. Keep America Strong.
Keep America Strong.
That's right.
Wyrsch,
Perfect.
Man, John, right here, my brother from Pacifica, right here, my neighbor. Thank you guys for being here. All right, y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Marty.
Here. Thank you, guys.
Bring us back soon.
Can you feature that awful creature? Can you feature that ugly creature? Creature features and feature features about creatures. Creature features.